Hey friends, Jimmy Kleager here with the VCK Group in beautiful Grand Junction, Colorado. Looking outside because I always kind of do a weather check and got a few clouds in the sky, but it's kind of windy like it was yesterday. But I will tell you the forecast for this weekend is looking good, and I hope everybody has a good, safe Memorial Day weekend. This is kind of a real kickoff for the summer here. Speaking of Memorial Days, I want to introduce a good friend of mine, does a lot of inspections for me. It's Tim Blake. He works for A1 Inspection. He is also a Marine. You're never a former Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine. And so I brought Tim on today just to help everybody understand about home inspections, what a home inspection is, how does it work, some of the pitfalls, some of the good things, some of the bad things, some things that Tim is seeing just from his the number of inspections that he does on a monthly basis here. So with that said, Tim, I'm gonna turn it over to you. But the first question I have for you, my friend, is who is Tim Blake?
Oh, geez. You said these were going to be softballs tossed in the air. It's a very complicated question. Hi, guys. Hello, everybody out there. I'm just a normal red-blooded American, out there working hard to provide for my family. That's
good.
That's the gist of it.
You got to tell us a little bit about the Marines. It is Memorial Day coming up. What'd you do in the Marines? How long did you serve?
I was active duty for 4 years in the Marine Corps. I was a combat engineer and stationed in North Carolina and Okinawa, Japan, amongst traveling around on boats out in the water. But combat engineer, we have two sides to the house. There's the construction side, of course, and then there's the demolition side, which is the fun side. So get to build it and blow it up.
Good. So what you guys can't see is the hat that he's wearing, which every time he shows up to an inspection, he has his hat, but it's got the globe and anchor on it. So representing the Marines very, very well. So Tim, let's talk about home inspections.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. What is a home inspection and why is it important?
Well, a home inspection, I mean, the simplest answer is that a home inspection is a non-invasive visual examination of the condition of the home that you're looking to purchase. We provide a service to your clients and mine to help your buyers to make an informed decision based off of what we discuss and what I find, to make that informed decision about a major purchase, a major step in their life.
Okay. So as far as okay, so the why, I'm just going to kind of step back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You're really digging into the house, and I notice you say visual inspection. So you're not, it's all visual. There are some things that you probably can't see, but you could potentially deduce. But at the end of the day, they are buying a peace of mind that the home that they're purchasing is nice and sound, or at least they understand any of the challenges that may come with the house.
Absolutely. We go through the home I operate. I do function tests and operate the light switches and doors and windows and the heating and cooling system and basically the things that you would naturally come across on your day-to-day just living in a home. But we do go a step further and we get in that dark spider-filled crawl space. We look at your foundation and the framing and the plumbing and wiring underneath the home, as well as the attic and ventilation and insulation up there. So yes, we do a visual inspection and we're looking for defects that potentially could be corrected prior to the sale of the home or even by the buyer after the home is purchased.
Okay. So digging around, and I know since we've worked together on quite a few inspections, you will find things. One of the things that may come up is you may take a look at the roof because you do, so you're in the attic, you're in the house, you're in the crawl space, you're on top of the house. I mean, you're basically just looking at everything. Let's just take a roof, for example. Okay. Can you certify a roof? Can you say, hey, this roof is good? Or tell me about this, because I think this is one of the common misperceptions that sometimes inspectors, have is, hey, I can, your roof is good, your roof is not good. What say you?
So as a home inspector, we're a generalist. We're not a specialist, right? Some of us come from different trades and backgrounds, plumbing, electrical, general construction trade. But just because we've come from one discipline doesn't mean that we don't know about a lot of disciplines. And so as a generalist, my job is not, and as a home inspector, my job is not to climb up on the roof and become that genie in a lamp and say, I know exactly the date that this roof is going to fail. We couldn't do that. That it's near impossible. But what I can do is I can look at your roof and evaluate it, and let's just call it in common sense. I can take a look at your roof and say, hey, you know what? This home was built in this year, and we're 15 years away from it. It's a 15-year-old house. This roof is about 15 years old, and you have what we consider 30-year shingles on this roof. So you're about halfway through the life of your roof system. You could expect that at the end of 30 years, you're going to have a roof replacement. Or on the flip side of that, I could get up on the roof and say, wow, there's a lot of damage here. Your overgrown trees are creating damage right now every time they blow in the wind, and you're missing shingles here, and raccoons have eaten their way into the roof there. That is one that I found, by the way.
Okay.
So, I take a common sense approach, and I talk to my clients and I say, there's a roof. I don't see any leaks in the attic. It is a bit older, but you can still get some time out of it. Or you really need to start to consider a roof replacement sooner rather than later.
Okay. So then it becomes on us to help our clients, my clients, potentially get a roofer out there, take a look at, do an official inspection, do a certification, and have them actually put a life value left on the roof at that point.
Correct. So we go back to that generalist and specialist. You're hiring me to be a generalist in all the disciplines. And when I find a defect, my job is to inform you, the realtor and the buyer, that you need to now get a specialist out here. You could absolutely hire every single specialist in every single trade to come out and do your home inspection for you, but it's going to cost you a lot of money.
Right. Okay. So are there any other common myths out there? We've kind of talked about what is an inspector, what is not an inspector. Are there any common misperceptions out there that you want to help folks with? Sure.
I get confused with an appraiser very often, and we are definitely not appraisers. I don't know the value of the home that you're buying. I don't know the comps in the area. I don't know how much you've offered for the home. It's not my job to know that information. My job is to know whether or not this home is structurally sound. Now appraisers and inspectors do a similar job. It's just my job is to inform you of the problems that are found. It's their job to inform the bank how much they believe this home costs.
Okay.
Another one, I get asked this all the time. Typically it sounds like this. Well, that thing over there is not up to code. Most of the time they're correct. It's not up to code. But here's the thing. I'm not a code inspector. A code inspector works for the county. A code
Mm-hmm.
inspector works on brand new homes to pass the codes that are written down in book and verified, and it's for this year and this year alone.
Okay.
Um, but as a home inspector, we do use some of the code inspection items to call out defects. I'll give you an example. An older home built in the 70s probably doesn't have GFCI protection in the kitchen. By today's standards or today's code, it would have to.
Right.
I'm not calling it out that as a code violation. I'm calling it out as, by today's standards, we would put GFCIs in there, and it's dangerous not to have them. So we should probably
Right.
think about putting them in.
Okay. And I know there's been some electrical issues, double tap circuits, all those kind of things are things that you will call out as part of your inspection, and really looking for structural parts of the house, and you're also looking for safety issues with the house. So those are kind of two things as you go into looking at an inspection.
Absolutely. We inspect the systems of the home to make recommendations on those repairs, whether it's roof, electrical, plumbing, the drainage, HVAC, insulation, ventilation, environmental. The list is almost endless.
Right.
But it's also our job to, while we're calling out the defects, it's also our job to teach the homeowners about preventative maintenance, things that they can expect to work on or maintain while they own this particular home. So, we have the job of not only finding the defects, but also teaching the buyer, the client of, hey, this is a new house. Here's how you take care of it.
Yep. I'm glad you brought that up because, guys or folks, I have heard lots of Tim's out briefs. And so at the end of every inspection, he affords an out brief to our clients. And every one of those, he will walk through his report with the clients. He not only tells him what what he found, if there's issues with the house, but he also does a great job at doing what he did is, hey, here's some preventative maintenance. Here's some things you need to think about. Here's some things that need to be addressed in a couple years. Here's some things that you need to be addressing right now. So I appreciate your commitment to clients, not just to do just a straight inspection, but also to help them maintain what we talk about as being the largest financial investment most people make every time they buy a house. So, okay. So with that said, I do have, the question that what's kind of just a crazy story. What's like the funniest, craziest thing that you have come across as an inspector that maybe that you just want to share with folks, because it's just fascinating.
Well, I was racking my brain last night because at this point, everything that I see, nothing surprises me anymore. I'd mentioned that a raccoon had torn off a part of a roof so it could go and live in the attic space over the winter. That one was kind of crazy. I didn't find the raccoon in there, thankfully. But I'd say, the biggest one that comes to mind is a seller who wanted to beautify his front yard and his curb appeal. And so for, I believe it was 2 weeks straight, while he was out of town, he was watering his yard to really perk up the grass. And when I went to inspect the home, I opened up the hatch to the crawl space, and it was literally a swimming pool down there. 2 inches of water from foundation edge to foundation edge. It was the most unbelievable amount of water I've ever seen in this dry desert climate that we have.
Okay. So that water equals mold, mildew in the future. Just lots of challenges with that. So
yes, it does. I mean, mold, mildew, settling of the foundation, which can lead to cracking. I mean, there's all sorts of issues. When we build and design homes, the the purpose is to keep those elements away from us. Otherwise, we go live in caves, right? But we keep those elements away from us, and when we allow that water to get back to the home, it can be very destructive. But that it does bring up a good point. This time of year, I'll give you a tidbit of information. Make sure your crawl space vents are open. If you've closed them over the winter, make sure you open them up. Double check those sprinklers to make sure that the sprinkler heads are aimed away from the house and they're not pointed back towards the foundation. Do everything, put the downspout extensions up on those gutters to move water away from the foundation as well. Go ahead and take a peek in the crawl space.
Yeah.
You might be surprised what you find. There may not be that many spiders, but take a peek in your crawl space and see if you got any moisture down there, because it's easier to take care of this problem before it happens.
Good. I appreciate that. So, hey, folks, with that said, Tim, I want to thank you for coming on. Let's before we talk about where they can reach you at, I'll give you the last word. Anything you want to say to the audience out there, reference inspections?
As far as inspections, I mean, to me, the biggest thing is, hire an inspector. We are trained, we are certified to go out there and look for the things that you may not see on your initial walkthrough of a home. Hire an inspector that's willing to talk to you and communicate with you and give you a call back if you have any questions after you've received the report. My job doesn't necessarily end the second that I push send. So, make sure you invest in an inspector, not just because of the best price, but an inspector who's going to give you the best service too.
Awesome. Thanks.
Oh, and happy Memorial Day, everybody. Jimmy, thank you for your service. Everybody else out there.
Appreciate you. So, hey, where can folks reach you?
You can go to our website, of course, A1 Inspection Services. And then our telephone number is 242-2644. Again, it's A1 Inspection Services. We've been in business for a very long time. I think over 20 years at this point. So a lot of experience in our office.
Great. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for the education. Folks, if you didn't catch that number, give me a call. I've got that number as well. He is one of my favorite inspectors here in town, probably the favorite one. If people say, because we're required to give 3, and then it seems like they always ask, well, which one would you use? Tim, you're the person that I say, hey, call Tim. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you for what you do. Again, thank you for your service. Thanks for blowing things up. I know that you combat engineers were the guys that we loved when we were driving down the road. But guys, you can reach me 970-697-7776. You can see our website there at vckgj.com and our handle at VCK Group on social media. So Tim, I appreciate you. Appreciate you coming on. Hang tight. Don't go anywhere. And so I've got a couple notes here that have come in. I've got an Air Force friend that is, I won't say what he said about the Marines, but that's okay. And then he says, thank you guys for your service. I appreciate you, Dave. Thanks for your service as well. He was a JTAC in the Air Force. So great guy. So, and then Terry Thomas came on and said, RIP 33. Is that, does that ring a bell? I didn't know if that was an engineer code or not. So
1371's tip of the spear, second Mardiv, but I don't know about RIP 33.
Okay. So Terry, be interested to know a little bit more about that. Give me a holler. But folks, thanks. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. We'll be back here tomorrow. I have tomorrow is going to be some pro tips on buying a house in the COVID environment. And I've got some pro tips for you. So meet me back here at 12:30. Look forward to seeing you, and we'll talk to you soon. Tim, hang on there.